Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Business, the place where we go beyond all the luxury branding and the social media highlights to talk about what really happens behind building a business. I'm your host, Tiffany Hope, and each week we're going to be getting into the beauty, the business, and most importantly, the balance. We're going to be dropping episodes twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays right here on YouTube, so remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so that you never miss an episode. You can find us on Instagram at Behind the Business Talks. Let's get into today's episode. Okay, girl. Do I have some great news for us? This is not my normal note card, and I'm very particular about the content that I bring you all. I do my research. I make sure that it is well-versed, and I also want to make sure that it's easily digestible. So today, girl, on Behind the Business, okay, guess what we've been talking about, girl? Dropout billionaires. If you don't know what a dropout billionaire is, let me just run it back for you real quick. When I first started my business, I was told that all these billionaires in the world dropped out, that they dropped out of 8th grade and that they really didn't need to be in school and that they just were, destined to be this amazing billionaire. And school was just a frivolous thing that people did. And most of these people made money because they dropped out of school and they got into the field. Girl, I believed that for so long. And there are so many people who are saying, you don't need to go to school, girl. You could just start your business. You could just go downtown and file for your LLC, girl, on LegalZoom or whoever else, right? We are so far removed from the actual real evidence that proves otherwise. Firstly, let's take a wild guess who y'all think they was talking about when they said people dropped out of school and became billionaires. You think it was us? You think it was the black girls? No, it was white men. Yeah, I said it. It was white men. That is who that statistic is for. So, girl, y'all hear that in the mic? Okay. Did us a little bit of research so I can give y'all the real. So the next time somebody tells you Jeff Bezos didn't go to college or Warren Buffett dropped out of school and became a millionaire, firstly, let's just not even skip past all of the history that we've been through in America. And these people are outliers and anomalies, okay? And yes, as a business owner, of course, we want to be the top 1%, of course. But if we don't understand our past, we are doomed to repeat it. So here today, we are going to learn together, okay? Firstly, one of the main dropout billionaires, girl, Bill Gates, okay? What people say is that Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard. That's what people like to say. Not true. The lie detector test determined that was a lie, okay? Let me tell y'all the real tea. He actually attended Harvard University, one of the most elite schools in the world. We know that. He came from a wealthy and high educated family. Girl, I hope that the editors really put that clip in here 3 times, because when you're already coming from a family with education and with money, you already have a leg up. The statistic of billionaire dropouts does not apply to people who are the first people in their family to go to college. It does not apply. I am one of the first people in my family, in my bloodline, to go to college, right? Imagine if somebody came to me and said, girl, drop out of school. You will be a billionaire because look at all these, billionaires out here dropping out. Imagine if I believe that as a business owner. Girl, it's time to wake up, okay? Back to Bill Gates. His mother served on corporate boards and had influential connections. Again, if my mama served on the corporate boards and she had connections, girl, then maybe that would be something I could extrapolate and apply to my real life. But we're talking about Bill Gates and his family and the common American, okay? Let's stop falling for it. The next thing. He had access to computers as a teenager, which we know in the late 1960s and 1970s, which was extremely rare. So obviously he went on to do Microsoft and do all his great things, but he had access to something that propelled him into his future. Let's let y'all in on a little secret, girl. Black people, we're just now getting access. Today. Just now. Okay. I'm going to hit y'all with some facts in a little bit, but just wait. He was already an advanced programmer before college. He co-created Microsoft at age 20, and he left Harvard after Microsoft had already had its contracts. People think that Bill Gates dropped out of school because he was just such a genius. And no shade, Bill Gates, how you doing? How Melinda doing? Okay, no shade. But when we look at the facts about what happened, he went to Harvard and decided to leave after his company had traction. This is not somebody who dropped out in 8th grade. This is not somebody who is illiterate. This is somebody who is very intelligent, who came from a family with a plethora of knowledge and who made something of it. So let's call it what it really is, okay? Don't piss me off. Next person. Guess who it is, y'all? Steve Jobs. Rest in peace, okay? What people say about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs dropped out and built Apple in a garage. Oh my goodness. You know, we got the pictures. We got all that, okay? What actually happened, girl, was that he attended Reed College. He still audited classes after dropping out. So if you guys don't know what an open campus is where anybody can show up. I went to a college that was an open campus. Anybody who's an adult girl can just show up and sit in class. They don't take roll. They don't do say who's here and who's not here. It's just an open campus. And if you are just learning this for the first time, go search open campuses in your neighborhood and you can attend classes. Of course, you don't go to the school. You're not about to get credit for it, but you will get the knowledge. That's exactly what Steve Jobs did. He had access to Silicon Valley culture during the birth of his personal computing. He partnered with Steve Wozniak. Yep, it was another Steve girl who was a highly gifted engineer. That was the third person, but I don't know why I don't got him on here. He worked at Atari before Apple. Okay, so here's the thing about Steve Jobs. Firstly, he was working with the homies. And one of them was mad old, okay? And it was 3 of them. And the old one was like, man, I got kids. I got some other stuff going on. He got out of there. Think about if somebody had told him, bro, just stick around. Just do your thing. Apple's they have more money than the U.S. Treasury. They are $1 trillion company now, okay? Imagine if somebody had just told a grown man with children, just believe. Just get out here and just have hope. His family would have suffered. He did not have the leverage that a Steve Jobs had in order to build something great. So let's be for real about what's happening in the real world. Okay, girl? That's Steve Jobs. Y'all know who I'm going to next? We know him. The second Tom, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, I said he is second Tom. Where Tom at? You know what's crazy? Tom sold MySpace for like $900 million. And he been in a park ever since. Girl, find him. His Instagram is cool. Okay. Back to Mark Zuckerberg. What people say. Also, people say Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard. Girl, let's just go through what he really did. He attended Harvard University. He was coding from a young age. We all were. Like, this was the MySpace days, girls. Any one of us could have been a Mark Zuckerberg when it comes down to the coding, okay? This is where it changes. His father was a dentist who reportedly hired private computer tutors for him. If we are skipping over the investment that should be happening when we're young, the things that we could be investing into our children, but we just think that because our son or our daughter is the first person to go to college, that now they're about to put the whole family on. Or now everybody about to get up out of wherever the situation that they're in. These statistics do not apply to us. And the sooner we realize that and understand that we need the schooling, and we need the education, we need the criteria, we need all these things to become a great business person, we will stop believing these stories that we're told that these anomalies of the world just happen to become those people when really they had a lot of different credentials and backing that was going to set them up for success anyway. He built Facebook. This is still Mark Zuckerberg. He built Facebook while surrounded by elite students and future investors. Girl, do we think Mark Zuckerberg took his own money to start Facebook? He didn't. Mark Zuckerberg probably owns less than 10% of Facebook today and is still one of the richest men in the world because that's how money works. That's how it is. It's not just this one person who's a CEO who does everything. Most of these people from this list have outsourced, sold companies, and do not run day-to-day operations like how we're taught to do, right? Be your own boss, be a CEO, run this and run that whole time, girl. You're never about to become a billionaire doing that. Let me just say what it is. We need to outsource and we need to learn how to scale. And we can only do that through learning. Next up, my man's Elon Musk. Girl, I like Elon Musk. He is real problematic on Twitter. I'm sorry, on X. Real problematic on X, girl, but he on the platform, so what we gonna say? Okay. So what people say about Elon Musk is that he didn't need a traditional path. That's like the thing, the running joke about him. When really, he attended Queen's University and University of Pennsylvania. You know who else went to University of Pennsylvania? Donald Trump. Okay, that's who went to University of Pennsylvania. These are the people who he went to school with. And we are thinking that if we just start an app, right, it's going to blow up and we're going to become a billionaire overnight. Just because somebody told us that we would. Be so for real and do the research on how these people got to where they are. Elon Musk also earned his degree in economics and physics. He came from a financially comfortable background. They put it light on here. It was more than comfortable, girl. It was more than enough, okay? And he had access to technological and entrepreneur environments early. He also sold companies before entering Tesla and SpaceX leadership. What we know Elon Musk for is Tesla, SpaceX, and X, formerly Twitter. We don't know the person who had to spend years learning, understanding, applying information. We just get it at the end, and we use that headline to make it seem like it's something that's so easily achievable overnight, when really, like I keep saying to bring it home, these people have been through a set of things, and there is a set of criteria. Whether they wanted to be successful or not, they would have been, because the cards were just stacked for them that way. We need to accept and understand that we're different, right? And when we accept that, then we can stack our own cards. But until we believe this fallacy that these people randomly sprouted out of earth off of nothing, we are deceiving ourselves and what our journeys actually could be. So let's start believing and getting into the facts. Last person is Jeff Bezos. Girl, I love me a little Jeff. What's up, Jeff? How you doing? Tell McKinsey I said hey. Hold on. What is Bill Gates' wife's name? Oh, Melinda. Melinda and McKinsey. That makes sense. Yeah. Got a little confused. I was like, what? So Jeff Bezos. What people say about Jeff Bezos, sometimes grouped into the anti-college billionaires conversation. Girl, Jeff Bezos graduated from Princeton. Indeed. What we talk? Who? Actually, you know what? I want to find out who told us this. Who told us that these people dropped out? It's giving a little setup, but all right. He worked on Wall Street at a hedge fund for D.E. Shaw and Company. Girl, he worked on Wall Street and became a trillionaire. And again, these are things that we are not. We're just told Amazon was a bookstore and it struggled for the first 5 years and you got to stay the course. Girl, he went to Princeton and graduated and worked on Wall Street. That really is the story that people need to start telling, because that is the path to success, much more than selling books and it turning into Amazon. Girl, okay. He learned finance, systems, and technology before Amazon. The important point is that Bezos is actually an example of elite education plus corporate experience. When I was gathering information for this episode, firstly, all the billionaire dropouts, and we're going to talk about this in another episode, all men. I'm befuddled that all the billionaire stories are of men. Now, granted, Oprah was on here, but Oprah came from humble beginnings, which we all know, right? Surprising that Oprah, a black woman, her story is that she came from humble beginnings, and we all know that. But all these white men, we're told somehow they achieved success. Oh my goodness, I don't know how they achieved success. The whole time, it's because they took the regular white man path, like a lot of them do. That's just life. That's just how we're living. And like I said, the sooner we accept it, the better off we will be. I want to leave you all with this. Just because somebody went to school, it does not make them better, but it makes them different. And a lot of people don't understand the difference between the two. Nobody is better than you, but people who have these opportunities, who work hard to get into these places, who come from families who understood that there's a legacy outside of them, have set their children up for something that we need to start setting our children up for. I am the first person in my family to start, own, and operate a business, and it's doing very well. I had to fight against the statistic. I had to fight against all of the people who said, girl, you don't need to go to school. You don't need that education. Just go ahead and do these things. And if I listen to those people who've been nowhere, by the way, right? If I listen to those people, I would not be here before you today. So I'm going to give you all some statistics, some heartbreaking statistics, but let's get into it. Let's get into some statistics about education in America and business. Number one, girl. In 1865, slavery officially ended in the United States with the 13th Amendment. Before this, enslaved black people were banned from learning to read or write. 1865, girl, it is 2026. That was yesterday, okay? Black people, do you realize that me being able to read this paper right now, right? Our ancestors were not even allowed to hold a paper, girl, let alone try to read it. This is just let y'all know where we are, okay? Second statistic. In 1896, the Supreme Court case, Plessy versus Ferguson, made segregation legal under the idea of separate but equal, aka Jim Crow. That's when that was. Separate but equal. Like, black people, y'all are the exact same, but this is your section and your water fountain, but you guys totally the same, right? We are not too far removed from these experiences. And now that we're starting businesses and doing something amazing, it's going to be hard. It is set to be that way. Our ancestors could barely open up a bank account, girl, and we naturally are out here fighting against that. Be easy on yourself and everything that you have going on. Number 3, Jim Crow laws enforced racial segregation in the southern United States from the late 1800s to the 1960s, affecting schools, housing, transportation, voting rights, and businesses. We're going to talk about that voting in a different episode, but people thinking, oh, I don't got to stand in line. Black people got the right to vote in 1965. 1965, girl. That's a couple of 2 generations ago? And we don't want to stand in line to vote, and we just got the right. See, here's the thing. When we're told these stories about how our history actually was, and we think we're so far removed from these experiences, but really, talk to your great aunts and the people who are still alive in your family. They will tell you and let you know. Number 4, on May 17th, 1954, the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Board of Education that segregated public schools were unconstitutional. The case was led by attorney Thurgood Marshall. This is when they banned segregation in schools. Black people were able to go to school. Still was on a Jim Crow, girl, okay? While Black Americans make up 14% of the population, the median household wealth in America for white people is $285,000 compared to $33,000 for Black people. Moment of silence. Imagine a white person having $285, and for every white person that has $285, the Black person has $33 in 2026. Okay. The Black household median income is about $56,000 compared to about $88,000 for white households in the United States. This is the one that was heartbreaking. Black households only earn about 60 cents for every $1 earned by white households on average. So for every $1 that a white dad is earning, a Black dad is earning 60 cents today, right now. Not in Jim Crow, not in the 1800s, not in the past. Right now, today. This is who we are. This is what we're dealing with and fighting against when we're running businesses. And we cannot fall for the ideology that people are just anomalies and that they are going to be successful just because they exist. Let's get into some more stats. About 27% of Black households earn over $100,000 annually compared to nearly 47% of white households. Only 6% of Black adult individuals earn more than $100,000 per year. Only about 6% of Black people earn $100,000 a year. Let me tell you, $100,000 is $8,333 a month. Ask me how I know, okay? Only 6% of Black people are making $8,000 a month in today's society. They about to piss me off with these statistics, bro. Let me just get down to the home ownership, okay? Black ownership in America is about 44%, while white home ownership is about 70%. Again, it is built that way. The white statistics that we have and people who own businesses who are white, it was meant for them to get funding and transportation and housing much easier than your average Black person. And I'm not talking about your 1% of your Black people who get in there. I'm talking about the rest, the 99% who work hard every day, who are fighting for a dream, that we have to understand our parameters are different. We need to apply different things to our journey. Lastly, historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, were established mainly after the Civil War because Black students were blocked from attending many white colleges. So while the statistics say this billionaire dropped out, they had the luxury of dropping out. Black people couldn't even go to school, let alone go to school and decide that they wanted to drop out. And guess what? These white men still went to college. They still funded their education, and they still put money back into their family. This is the learning lesson. When you hear billionaire dropout, don't come around here with a billionaire dropout, girl. That is not what we are learning, and that is not what we are teaching this next generation. We are standing firm in education. We are exercising our right to apply to any school we desire, and we're going to do it with grace and with honor of everybody who came before us, who made sure that we had these rights to be successful. Our ancestors already put down the blueprint. The only thing we need to do is follow it and not fall for the stories that somehow, some way, just because somebody's successful, that's not real and that's not true. And now that we have real evidence and we know, this is how we take our step forward as people in the business world, as Black people, and especially as Black women. That's what I have for you guys today. I, again, am very passionate about this topic and subject. I hope that you are too. If there's anything in this episode that resonated with you, please feel free to share below. Follow us on Instagram at Behind the Business Talks. DM us. Let us know how you're feeling about it. Let's start up a conversation because we're all in this together and everybody is building something. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm your host, Tiffany Hope, and I'll see you next time on Behind the Business. Hey, girl. Okay. This is my favorite segment of the episode. This is when we can get into the story time. Earlier, I was talking about the Billionaire Dropouts and what it looks like for us in our community to not use that information to apply it to ourselves, okay? With this story time, I'm really going to get into the basics of what it's like to be one of the first people in your family to go to college. When I found out that my grandmother went to college, worked for FEMA, grandma has 2 degrees. 2 degrees? My grandmother has 2 degrees, and she worked for FEMA, and she was a clown. Yes. My grandmother was a clown, y'all. Her hobby was being a clown, aka a lot like me. My grandmother was a real clown, though. She had a real, clown shoes, girl. I hope y'all, pop a little picture right there, okay? The point is this. I didn't really learn about these things about my grandmother because when she was alive, the thing she taught me was about cooking and about being a lady. That was it. It wasn't really about her education. And now that I realize that in 1974, women had to have a male co-signer in order to get a business loan, my mom was born in 1972, okay? So her mother had her 2 years before my grandmother could even go down to a bank, girl, and get a business loan, right? That's what we're dealing with here. And so when my grandmother was teaching me the things that she did, she taught me how to bake a pie and how to cook hamburgers, girl. I remember that, okay? And so many different things about crossing my legs and being a lady, but never about business. And it wasn't until she passed at her funeral when they were reading her obituary and they read her life story. And that's where I learned all the impactful things that she had done. And I learned that she went to college and that she had her children and she still struggled through it. She moved to a different state. She had a husband. She had so many things in common with future Tiffany that I wish she was still here so I could ask her about what it's like to be the first person to do something, especially in a world where we are not accepted. And for sure, we're not accepted around her time of living. She was a great woman. And now all we have is us. And so it's up to us, Black women, to be able to pour into that next generation and to help them understand that, yeah, while I was one of the first to go to college, I will not be the first. While I was one of the first to start a business, I will not be the first. I have a young cousin who owns a braiding shop. Let's pop her right there. Hey, girl, how you doing? She owns a braiding shop and she does the best braids. I get my hair done by her. You all will see coming up. It'll be airing actually this month, our cheetah hair campaign, Summer Safari. By the time you see this, girl, I'm gonna have my braids in, period, okay? The thing is that this young lady would call me all the time. Hey, Tiff, this person canceled on me or whatever. I was able to be a beacon for hope for her after starting my business, but I never knew that part of my grandmother. I never knew the side of going to college and what it was like walking on campus with textbooks at the time. And girl, if my textbooks were heavy, I know grandma's textbooks were, girl, written in calligraphy, okay? I know it was crazy. So now the girlies have their laptops and their Kindles and all that, but it is still the same. We are still Black women. We are still labeled, and we are still judged. We are just the same person in a different timeline, right? And when it comes down to it, we need to share our story. I'm sharing my story now today because of God's timing, because of my awareness, because of my courage. But really, what it comes down to is you just getting started. Share your journey. If the only statistics we have are of white men, right, and we are black women, how do we extrapolate that? How do we apply that to what we have going on if by the time our grandchildren hear about what we've done, we're long gone? The first time our grandchildren hears about our accomplishments should not be through an obituary. It should be through active, present moments. And this part is about right after this, after you are done watching this, reach out to somebody in your family. Reach out to somebody no matter what color you are. Share your story, because there is an endpoint to this timeline for all of us. And the things that could have shaped me and molded me, I didn't have access to those things. I still don't. The best I have is my mom telling me stories. And again, that's a secondhand account. My grandmother didn't feel comfortable or whatever it was showing me that side of her. But we are women and we are here. We are standing in the power that has been bestowed upon us to show people that we can take up space. We can talk about our story. We can share it with the next young girl, because life is going to go on. We will not be here forever, y'all. We just have to accept that. And the sooner that we get to the younger generation of the world, the better. When I first started my company, I remember starting with the idea of black women in mind. That black women didn't have the hair textures and the different lengths and the different types and things that matched our hair. Girl, I used to get me a little Remy pack from the beauty supply. I don't even know if they still have it, but they did back then, girl. Back when you could get a bundle and a half. This is when the Koreans were slicing the hair bundle in half, sis, and then selling you a bundle and a half. Bye. So they did that. And all of us were in there. What? Shout out Shariah. Shout out to Candace. All the girls from Western Girl. We was doing it. We was cutting it out. We was doing it. And I remember getting my first set of extensions. And my dad hated it. Girl, he hated it. He was like, never again. Don't ever do it. And I remember when I was taking them out, because it was a glue in. Actually, LaShawn, I feel like, did it. We went to her house, got it done. Did my glue in. And then when I was taking it out, no adhesive remover, nothing. I just was snatching the pieces out, girl. Snatching them out. It was insane. Now we have, tape ins remover, hair extensions remover, all those things. But the point is, when it came down to it, I was stepping into a world that I did not know would identify who I was going to be as a woman. And had I had other black women at the time who were able to pour into me and to share their stories, my life could have been different. And I like my life for what it is now. Don't get me wrong. I love my life for what it is now. But I had a lot of firsts that were not my first. I had a lot of walking on a college campus for my first time without anybody telling me what that was going to be like. I had a lot of applying for financial aid for the first time. My mom figuring out what it meant for the first time. I had a lot of experiences for the first time when really it was not the first time. Somebody just didn't feel comfortable enough to share that story with me. And as guarded as we feel about who we are and what we have going on, really, girl, share your story. Share your story in these comments, actually, because we don't know who we could impact. It's not about the praise. It's not about you receiving accolades. It's about you sharing a part of your journey that will live way long before you will. And something that the girlies can take and actually pull from. That is what I'm hoping to bring through this podcast, a moment of impact, a profound word that one day my great-granddaughter is watching and she's like, that's my grandma and that's my great-grandma over there. And like she's having her moment and doing her thing and understanding I came from a long line of black women who stood for something, who couldn't open up a bank account, but now is a millionaire. You feel me, right? Who needed a man to co-sign for something, but now has her own. Right? That same woman who was the first to do anything, she is now generations later following that legacy. Let's quit all that first black women to do these things and those things. We're going to hand that off to the generations before us, learn our history, and get into what it means to carry a legacy instead of building one. For as long as I was young, I thought I'm building this legacy, girl. I'm the first one to do this and do that. Oh, record scratch, add that in there. That's how it happened. Because I realized all these black women who came before me just didn't share their stories. They didn't have a microphone. They didn't have a videographer. They didn't have any way to tell us their stories. But guess who does? We do, right? We all do. Outside of this, I'm speaking to a younger Tiffany. I'm speaking to a young woman who feels like she is the one out of 100 when really she's not. She is not. There are so many successful black women who get to a level, who understand things that were not taught to us. All the statistics of certain billionaire dropouts and all these different people that we were taught, those things don't apply to us. Let's get some real comments going. Let's get a real conversation happening about what really applies to us as women and how we can use that for the next generation. Again, I am so happy that you all tuned into this episode, because it is something that we need to continuously talk about. And let me just also tell you, we have our episodes laid out, girl, okay? Do you know who I am? I'm laying them out, period. But we're going to revisit this. We're going to revisit what it looks like for somebody to take a moment in time and to allow people to share their stories. I don't care if you think your story is impactful or not. If you think I just do this one thing, I just work my job, I just go home, whatever it is that you think about yourself, somebody somewhere can learn something from you. I promise you on everything. I promise you. And if you count yourself out, somebody will be at your funeral learning about the great things that you've done. Let's undo that now, today. Thank you, ladies, all so much for tuning in. That's all that I have for you. Again, I'm Tiffany Hope. I'm your host of the Behind the Business podcast. And we will be here every Tuesday and Thursday on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. Turn on your post notifications so that you never miss an episode, girly, okay? Follow us on Instagram at Behind the Business Talks. And please, please, please shoot me a DM. Shoot the business page a DM. I still run it right now okay? Let's have a conversation, a real one. Because like I always say, we're all in this together. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Behind the Business.